Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work in sincerity and truth. Um, yeah, got this article on AP News. It says, well, Iran sends warship to Atlantic amid Venezuela concerns. And then you got, got the pics there. The Iranian ships. So it says what? An Iranian destroyer and support vessel are now sailing in the Atlantic Ocean in a rare mission far from the Islamic Republic. Iran state TV reported on Thursday without offering the vessel's final destination. The trip by the new domestically built destroyer Sahand and the intelligence gathering vessel Makran come amid U.S. media reports citing anonymous American officials saying the ships were bound for Venezuela. The AP, the Associated Press, could not immediately confirm the ship's destination. Yeah, so you got a similar circumstance. Well, somewhat similar. I mean, not the same magnitude to the Cuban Missile Crisis, because only similar because it's essentially a very domestic country to America, basically having rubbing shoulders, inviting over an enemy, and as such, that's why it's gonna put the onus on the U.S. to have to take action, and then that can easily become a conflict. But I guess we'll see. Because it's a destroyer as well. It's a warship. So if there is it's not like when they have the tankers that were getting grabbed up. For these, it's gonna be a touchier situation. But then same for on the US side. They've got a they can't let that shit run. So we'll have to see what goes down. And like I said, they're only sailing there. It's not like they've arrived. So we'll see what it amounts to. But it's clear that it's showing the Iran's they're looking to do things. So it says the vessels departed last month from Iran's southern port of Bandar Abbas, Sad Adam. Habibullah Sayari, Iran's deputy army chief, he's described their army as the Iranian Navy's longest and most challenging voyage yet, without elaborating. Iranian state TV released a short clip of the destroyer cruising through the Atlantic's rough seas. The video likely was shot from the Makran, a converted commercial oil tanker with a mobile launch platform for helicopters. The Navy is improving its seafaring capacity, improving its long-term durability in unfavorable seas and the Atlantic's unfavorable weather conditions, Sayari said, adding the warships would not call at any country's port during the mission. Images from Maxar Technologies dated April 28th appear to show 7 Iranian fast attack craft, typically associated with its paramilitary Revolutionary Guard on the deck of the Makran. So yeah, the Revolutionary Guard's there as well. From when there's a destroyer there anyway, the Navy's involved. It's gonna be a military exercise. So it's like, okay, to what end? And hey, these are the things. That's the thing. It's little incidents like this. These things can, roll down the hill and build up steam, and then very very easily become a jump off point for conflicts that happen later down the line. Because like with both of the world wars, like World War One, World War Two, It's like you have that inciting incident, but it's not really known as like an inciting incident. It's not really recognized for what's kicking off as it happens. So that's why it's like with these things, you can watch and observe, and then see like, okay, what exactly is is going down. How is it? What was it leading to? And what's the what's the end result gonna be? Because yeah, that's looking at it, I'm like, this could easily come a hot mess. But yeah, we'll see. I think the main reason like these guys even have the what do you call it? The capability to be just going out and be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna make moves is cause Russia's backing them, and that's really the kind of Russia's uh being a shield for them, so it gives them a bit more leeway. And that means as well, it's similar with like those World War situation where countries have treaties together. If a conflict kicks off between Iran and the States, then Russia's gonna get involved because they're allies. They got interests that need protecting. That's what the same thing with like Syria. That's why it's they've they've been involved in Syria, and it's kind of been a back and forth. These things is essentially the rumblings of war. That's what you're seeing with an event like this taking place. Iran, extending influence all the way, into the Atlantic, possibly into South America. That's them, putting on a show like, hey, look, well, they're basically saying like, if you're about this, you're gonna have to show it. We'll see where it goes. So this is what in Washington, U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price would not speculate on what the vessels are carrying, saying only that if this is an effort to transfer weapons or otherwise to violate its international obligations, would be prepared to respond. Yeah, so that's the thing. Depending on what's going down, and they're gonna be having what do you call it? Satellites and whatnot, keeping an eye on them to see what these men are doing. That if this is an effort to transfer weapons or otherwise. Yeah. So depending on what they're trying to gain from the situation, then people are America will escalate their response. And interesting to watch, man. Interesting to observe, because it's really that. It's like you've got a few hot spots. You got South China Sea. You got Ukraine, Syria. Still, these things are points of contention, mainly between Russia and China's influence, and then the US, NATO, EU's influence against them. So that's you're seeing conflict over these things, whether it's done through sanctions, because Russia, I believe, has still got sanctions on them based on what they're doing in Ukraine. So yeah, it's we'll see what shakes out. Let me read this. Ezekiel 38:2. It says, "Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." And Gog's talking about those are Russians, man. Land of Gog. That's the land of where the Russians are. And it says what and say, thus saith the Most High Power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Yeah, so even with especially when it comes to China, China seems to be the go-to kind of what everyone kind of says, like, oh yes, like if America's gonna go down, China's gonna be the ones to raise up off the back of it. That's that all that whole opposition to the West, to Esau's system, Esau's main system, the Dragon, EU and NATO, is like Russia and China, but that doesn't mean that the Lord's down with them. They are also the Lord's also against him. Says what chief information says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all them handling sword. Yeah, basically, Russia being put back in that spirit of opposition to the US, which that you've seen clearly. It's Putin, since he got back in office, all he's done is consolidate power, essentially, changing the laws so he can stay in power, essentially until he croaks. And he's trying to strengthen Russia, weaken the West, and move in and take over the resources, take over where they have an influence, and have Russian influence instead. It says what, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, them all with shield and helmet. Yeah, and that's why Russia's that ally, that main ally to Iran. China and Russia have interest in their country, so they're basically moving and pushing in their vibe, and getting resources out of them, just as like how Esau in the West, these guys will make deals with like Saudi Arabia, or they'll just go in and do what they did with Libya, where country just gets crumbled, and then set up essentially a puppet government, and then have them give the US the best deals. And that's it's the history. This is, you can go to Habakkuk 2. So it says what, Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, and neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desirous hell, and is as death. Yeah, so talking about Esau, his soul's not upright. It says in verse 4, and it says what, he's desires at hell, he's a proud man, he doesn't keep at home. Esau's the one you see who's gone round. That's why all these empires that you've seen throughout, from when Esau roused back up in the roused back up, when Esau basically was cleaned up and putting that authority over the earth in the Renaissance. Then what? It's been all those European Edomite kingdoms basically having empires going around to all these different parts of the world, colonizing them and harvesting their resources, setting up a style of government that's beneficial to them. That's why you had the periods of different empires, like you'd have the Portuguese, French, Belgian. All these different countries had their own influences, for certain periods of time. It's like Britain had one of the grandest, and now it's the time of the US, man. So it's like, just with that same spirit, because they're all Edomites anyway, man. All these guys are running, it's all Edomites. They've all been in that same spirit, man. This is what woe to Oh, and he phones up more people. Says as what? Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taught-in proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Yeah, so woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. And that's that's what is now being said against the West heavily, man. People are really looking at Esau, his crimes, his history, what he's done, being like, okay, these so-called white people, like, why is it that they're able to have, they've gained what they've gained through, trampling over everyone else. Like, why should we let that run? So everyone, you're having a conflict now against that. But yeah, it says what? Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Yeah, because the spirit's gonna come off, and it's gonna be everyone just like with Iran, where they're in hella contention with with America. The most they kind of made peace with them was like at the end of Obeezy's tenure, when they what they do with Obeezy's tenure. They made a nuclear deal, and that shit has not been recovered since like Trump stepped out on it. All you've had is Iran basically increase the amount of like uranium, the percentage of uranium they're enriching. That's been increasing to where I think it was 60%, maybe higher. And it's like I think 93 or 95%, maybe 97 or something, to actually make it like weapons grade. But that's just what they've told the UN and shown the UN. But more likely than not, behind they're doing their thing, man. Because those nukes, that's part of the prophecies of the end as well. But yeah, it's watch as well as pray. Because yeah, that's why you got that main conflict, man. That World War III stirring. It's in the midst, and there's more to come from this situation. We'll see when this shit pops off. Obviously I'll probably do a video on that Lord War. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yabashim Yashab. Shalom.